Hi, so right now, I'm going to discuss the sum and the product of roots of quadratic equations. So ngayon class, magdi-derive muna tayo ng formula para makuha yung sum at saka product ng roots ng isang quadratic equation. Gagamitin natin class yung quadratic formula. So kung naalala nyo class, the quadratic formula ang quadratic formula ay x is equals to negative b plus or minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. So, ito yung quadratic formula natin. Ngayon, ang quadratic formula natin class, kung makikita nyo, dalawa yan. Inire-represent niya yung dalawang roots ng isang quadratic equation. Okay, kung titingnan nyo to, ito, plus or minus, ibig sabihin yan, yung isang root natin, let's say x sub 1 be the first root, negative b plus square root of b squared minus 4ac, ayan, and then over 2a, and then the second root po, let's say x sub 2 be the second root, yun yung negative b minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay? So, ayan. Ngayon, ito yung temporary roots natin. Ito yung nire-represent ng dalawang roots ng quadratic equation natin. So, ngayon, ituturo ko sa inyo, class, yung sum and product. Kung paano kunin yung sum and the product of roots of quadratic equation. Okay? Equations. So, ngayon class, gagamitin natin equations, mali spelling. Equations. Equation, ayan. So, gagamitin natin tong x sub 1 na to, tsaka x sub 2 mamaya para sa paggawa ng formula in order to determine or find the sum and the product of roots of quadratic equations. Okay? So, delete natin lahat. And so, kung naalala nyo, once again, ang topic natin about the sum and the product of roots of quadratic equations. Alright, so simulan na natin. Unang gagawin natin ng formula o diderive yung formula ay yung sa sum. Ano yung formula? Pwede natin magamit, no? Pwede natin ma-derive from the quadratic formula, no? To easy solve, no, the sum of the roots of quadratic equation. So simulan natin. So dahil sum yan, ibig sabihin ipag-add lang natin yung dalawang roots, x sub 1 and then the x sub 2. We're just going to add them. Okay. And then yung x sub 1 natin ay negative b plus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a plus x sub 2, ang x sub 2 natin once again ay negative b plus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Ay, correction, hindi pala yan plus, dapat yan ay minus. Okay? Kasi yun na po yung nauna natin yung plus. So minus po ito x sub 2 natin. Alright? So ngayong class, ang gagawin natin, mag-add lang tayo. Kung makikita nyo may denominators tayo, so ibig sabihin, i-apply natin dito yung concept ng fractions, kung paano ba mag-add ng fractions. So kapag nag-add tayo ng fractions, make sure that the fractions are similar fractions. If not, kailangan nyo hanapin yung LCD and make them similar fractions. And sa case natin ngayon, parehong 2a ang denominator, ibig sabihin ito ay similar fractions na. So gagawin na lang natin ay we're just going to copy the common denominator, which is 2a, and then after that we're just going to add the numerators. Okay, combining like terms tayo, we have negative b, negative b, ito yun, negative b plus negative b. Okay, so dalawang negative b, ang sagot ay negative 2b. Kuha, sunod. Ang next naman natin ay etong positive square root of b squared minus 4ac plus negative square root of b squared minus 4ac. Take note class take note of the sign, yung isa ay positive at yung isa naman ay negative. Okay? Ngayon, dahil unlike sign sila, so magma-minus tayo. Pag minus natin sila, anong mangyayari? Anong magiging result? Eh di 0. Okay? Ngayon, wag na lang natin isulat yung 0. So, ang matitira na lang ay negative 2b over 2a. Tapos, yung 2, pwede natin makancel yan. At ang matitira na lang po ay negative b sa taas, sa numerator, at a naman sa denominator. So, therefore, class, the formula to find the sum of the roots, ayan, ang formula ay negative b over a. So, ito po. Okay? Sana malinaw ko na paano na-derive yung formula. Ngayon naman, yung product naman. Alamin naman natin yung sa product. Okay? So, paano ba yung sa product? Let's say we have product. Ayan, so i-derive natin yung formula para mahanap yung product of the roots. So, dahil product, ibig sabihin magmumultiply lang tayo. Multiply lang natin. Wait lang, ang pangit tingnan. Erase natin to. Okay, so ipag-multiply natin x sub 1 times x sub 2. Okay, product kaya multiply. Multiply natin, ang x sub 1 natin ay negative b plus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a times negative b minus square root of b squared minus 4ac all over 2a. Okay, so ngayon mag-multiply tayo. Mag-multiply, paano nga ba mag-multiply ng fractions? Multiply the numerators and multiply the denominators. So ngayon class, ang numerators natin ay dalawang binomials, no? We have negative b. Ilang terms meron tayo? Meron tayong 1, 2. So 2 terms, so binomial. 1, 2, so 2 terms, kaya binomial. Okay? So ngayon, binomials yan, ibig sabihin, para ma-multiply yan, you can use the FOIL method. Ngayon, ang ituturo ko sa inyo class, yung shortcut para i-multiply yan. Okay? Kasi pasok siya sa special products na kung saan, para ma-solve yan, ang kailangan nyo lang gawin, ay i-multiply nyo lang yung first terms and then multiply the last terms. Ganun lang. Gawin na natin. Negative b times negative b, that's positive b squared. Okay, and then last terms, we have positive square root of b squared minus 4ac times negative square root of b squared minus 4ac. Dahil unlike san sila at minultiply natin, so negative ang magiging sagot. And then, don't forget to write the parentheses or grouping symbol para ma-separate natin yung expressions na makukuha natin. At meron tayong square root of b squared minus 4ac times square root of b squared minus 4ac. And as you can see, class, dalawa sila at pareho yung term. Ibig sabihin, pwede na lang natin isulat yan in this form. Magiging square root of b squared minus 4ac raised to 2. Nakita nyo? Alright. And then, all over, multiply natin yung denominators, 2a times 2a. That will be 4a squared. 2 times 2, 4. A times a squared. Okay? Ngayon, let's simplify it further. Ngayon, class, tingnan nyo mabuti. Pwede nating makancel etong square root sign at saka yung exponent na 2. Kuha. So, ang matitira na lang, class, magkakaroon na lang tayo ng b squared minus, don't forget the grouping symbol, b squared minus 4ac. Alright, wala na po yung exponent 2 at wala na rin yung square root sign. Ngayon, we have 4a squared on the denominator. Now, bago nyo tanggalin class ng parentheses, please take note of this. Kailangan i-distribute nyo muna yung negative sign sa loob. Okay, multiply yung negative kay b squared at negative kay negative 4ac. So, mangyayari, magiging ganito. We have the b squared, and then negative times b squared, that's negative b squared. And then negative times negative 4ac, that will be positive 4ac all over 4a squared. Tapos dito, alam naman natin class na pwede nang mawala ito kasi b squared minus b squared is 0. Ano na lang ang matitira? Ang matitira na lang class ay 4ac over 4a squared. Okay, ganun. Class yung a squared, pwede natin isulat yan ng a times a, tama ba? Alright, so ngayon, pwede na tayo mag-cancellation na naman dito. Cancel natin yung 4. Cancel natin yung isang a sa taas, cancel din natin yung isang a sa baba. Anong natira? C over A. So, meron lang tayong C over A. So class, para mahanap yung product of the roots, ang kailangan yung formula ay C over A lang. Malinaw? Alright. X of 1 times x of 2 is equal to C over A. And this will be the formula to find the product of the roots. Okay po? So dalawa lang yan. Recall natin class yung formula. Ayan. To find the sum of the roots, kailangan nyo yung formula na negative b over a. At to find naman the product of the roots, kailangan natin yung c over a. Okay? Now, okay na tayo dyan, class. Next tayo. Examples na tayo. Ngayon, ang gagawin natin, we're going to identify we're going to solve for the sum of the roots and product of the roots. Okay, nakuha? Ngayon, simulan natin sa example number 1. Number 1, we have x squared minus 8x plus 15 equal to 0. So, ang gagawin natin dito, we're going to find the sum and the product of the roots. Okay, so yan ang gagawin natin. Ngayon, we already have the formula, i-apply na lang natin yan. So dahil ang kailangan natin ay values ng a, b, and c, therefore, kailangan ang quadratic equation natin ay naka-standard form. At kung titingnan nyo, example 1 natin, yung given ay naka-standard form, identify na lang natin yung values ng a, b, and c. The value of a here is 1, and then the value of b is negative 8. The value of c is positive 15. Okay? Ngayon, ready na tayo. Alam na natin, class, yung values ng a, b, and c. Ngayon, ang gagawin natin, apply lang natin, class, yung formula. Hanapin muna natin yung sum. Okay, sum muna tayo. So, the formula, we have x of 1 plus x of 2 equals to negative b over a. Ang pinaka-importante lang sa formula na to, class, ay yung negative b over a. Nakuha? Negative b over a. Yan yung pinaka-importante. Nilagay ko lang yung x of 1 plus x of 2 para makita nyo na yan ay sum. Now, negative b, so we have negative times the value of b. The value of b is negative 8 over 1. Solve natin yan. Negative times negative 8, that will be positive 8 over 1. And when you simplify it, pag sinimplify nyo yan, the result will be x of 1 plus x of 2 equal to 8. Therefore, 8 is the sum of the roots of the given equation. Now, let's find the product of the roots. Product naman tayo. Okay, so we have x of 1 times x of 2. We're going to use the formula c over a. The value of c is 15. And the value of a is 1. Simplify, we have 15. So therefore, the product of the roots is 15. Nakuha? Malinaw po yun? Ngayong class, alam nyo ba na pwede rin gamitin itong sum and product para mahanap yung roots? By the way, pwede kayong gumamit ng ibang method para mahanap yung roots ng given na equation natin. No? Pero ngayon, ipapakita ko sa inyo kung paano gamitin yung sum and product of the roots para makuha or ma-determine yung roots natin or mahanap yung roots ng given quadratic equation. So, simulan na natin. So, ang roots natin, hanapin natin yung roots. Solve na natin yan. So, we have, ang sabi, kapag pinag-add daw, ang sagot ay 8. Kapag pinag-multiply naman, ang sagot ay 15. Kuha. So, yan. Mag-isip tayo ng dalawang numbers that when you add, 8 ang result, at kapag pinag-multiply naman ay 15. So, dalawang numbers lang naiisip natin. Tama ba? Sino ba tayo naiisip? 5 and 3. 5 plus 3 is 8, and then 5 times 3 is 15. Therefore, the roots are 5 and 3. And then our solution set must be 3 and 5. Nakuha po? So, tama. Okay? Tama tayo. Pwede kayong gumamit ng ibang method para mahanap yung values ng x or yung roots natin. Okay? Now, kung wala na kayong tanong class regarding example number 1, proceed tayo sa example number 2. Let's have example number 2. Number 2 natin, ang given natin ay 9x squared. 9x squared minus 9x plus 2 equals to 0. Okay, so identify natin yung the sum and the product of the roots. So kailangan muna naka-standard form yung ating quadratic equation. Okay naman, naka-standard form na. Now let's identify the values of A, B, and C. A is 9, B is negative 9, C is positive 2. Now, using the formula to find the sum, which is ang formula natin ay negative B over A, i-substitute lang natin class. Negative times B, which is negative 9. Ayan, sinubstitute lang natin. Over A, which is 9. Solve natin. Negative times negative 9 is positive 9. Over 9. Simplify 1. Therefore, x sub 1 plus x sub 2 is equals to 1. Meaning to say, class, the sum of the roots is 1. Now, product. So, multiplication, x sub 1 times x sub 2, ang formula natin dito ay C over A. Let's substitute. The value of C is 2. And then the value of A is 9. 2 over 9 class is already already in its simplest form. Because 2 and 9 are relatively prime, meaning to say their GCF, the GCF of 2 and 9 is no other than 1. So, wala lang pwedeng i-divide sa kanilang number na pareho. Okay? So, ngayon, ang magiging product of the roots natin ay 2 over 9. Okay? Now, hanapin natin yung roots gamit gamit sum and product. So, roots. Okay, so simulan natin. Ano ang kapag pinag-add 1 at pinag-multiply 2 over 9? So, kapag ganito class, medyo mahirap kasi may fraction. Ang gawin nyo, unahin nyo muna yung sa multiplication. Ano ang kapag binag-multiply, ang sagot ay 2 over 9? So, una sa denominator, we have 3 times 3, pwedeng 9. And then sa numerator naman, 1 times 2, kaya naging 2. Ngayon, pag pinag-add natin yan, let's see. 1/3 plus 2/3, anong sagot? Ang sagot yan ay 3 over 3. And then when you simplify, the answer is 1. And then, tama tayo. Check. So, ngayon, nakuha na natin yung roots. Ibig sabihin, ang roots na ito class ay 1/3 or x equals to 2/3. And our solution set will be 1/3 and 2/3. Alright? So, ganun lang class, no? By the way, kahit na gagamit yung sum and product para makuha yung roots, hindi siya applicable kapag ang roots ay imaginary at irrational. Okay? Pwede, pero mahirap. Okay? Komplikado. Now, let's have number 3. Example number 3. Number 3 naman tayo. Ang number 3 nating class ay we have 3x squared plus 21x minus 180 equals to 0. So, naka-standard form naman na. So, hindi natin kailangan i-rewrite yan. Identify natin yung value ng A, which is 3. Value ng B, which is 21. at value ng C which is negative 180. Okay? So ngayon, ang gagawin natin ay gagamitin natin yung formula para makuha yung sum tsaka product. Sa sum, ang formula natin ay negative B over A. Let's substitute. We have negative times B, B is 21, over A which is 3. Negative times 21, that's negative 21 over 3, and then simplify, negative 21 divided by 3, that is negative 7. X sub 2 plus, X sub 2 plus X sub 1. Okay, X sub 1 plus X sub 2. Therefore, the sum of the roots is negative 7. Now let's have the product. Product using the formula is X sub 1. Ayan, ang pinaka-importante dito yung C over A din. And then substitute natin what is the value of C. That's negative 180 over A is 3. Yan, divide natin. Negative 180 divided by 3. Ang sagot ay negative 60. Okay po? Therefore, the product of the roots is negative 60. Okay, ngayon, try natin hanapin yung roots, no, gamit yung sum and product na yan. So, kapag pinag-add, negative 7, pag pinag-multiply, negative 60. So, kung titignan nyo class, negative yung product natin, ibig sabihin, magkaiba ng sign. Ngayon, dahil negative 7 yun, kapag pinag-add, negative 7 pag pinag-add, ibig sabihin, kailangan yung negative nyo ay nandun sa may integer na may greater absolute value. So, try natin yung 12 at saka yung 5. Dahil yung 12 ay mas may greater absolute value, no? Sa kanya yung negative. Okay po? So, multiplication. Ngayon, pag minus natin, pag inad natin yan, 12, negative 12 plus 5, yes, ang sagot ay negative 7. So, tama tayo. Ngayon, ang roots natin dito ngayon tuloy ay x equals to negative 12 or x equals to 5. Our solution set, negative 12 and 5. Okay? Alright. Ngayong class, alam nyo ba na gamit ang sum and product, no, pwede nating ma-determine yung quadratic equation. So, kung kanina, hinanap natin yung sum and product, ngayon naman, given yung sum and product, aalamin natin kung ano yung quadratic equation. Okay, so ngayon, write the quadratic equation given the sum and product of the roots. Sum and the product of the roots. Okay? So, bago yung class, kailangan alam nyo tong formulang to. Papakita ko sa inyo kung paano natin ma-derive yan. Ganito. Kailangan natin, class, yung quadratic equation in standard form. Ayan. A plus pala to. So, ngayon, ang gagawin natin class dyan, kailangan maipalabas natin dito yung formula ng sum and product. Ang gagawin natin, di-divide lang natin both side of the equation by A. Maka-cancel natin to, x squared na lang matitira, plus bx over A plus c over A equals to 0 divided by A is 0. Now, kung makikita nyo class, yung c over A, ayan yung product. Ngayon, kailangan mapalabas natin class yung sum. Formula para mahanap yung sum. Tingnan nyo to class. Yung positive class, ay yung positive na yan. Yan ay pwedeng lumabas yan. Pwedeng lumabas tong positive na to. No? Kapag pinag-multiply natin yung dalawang negative. Tama ba? Ibig sabihin, pwede nating sabihin dito na x squared minus times the negative b over a times x plus c over a equals to 0. So, take note, once again, ang c over a, yan yung product. At eto na class, lumabas na. Yung negative b over a, yan naman yung sum. Alright? So, ibig sabihin, class, ang formula na pwede natin magamit para mahanap natin yung quadratic equation given the sum and the product of the roots, ang gagawin natin, kailangan natin yung formula to. X squared minus the sum of the product x squared minus the sum of the roots x plus the product of the roots equals 0. Okay? Or, pwede rin ganito. Kapag given naman yung roots mismo, pwede naman ganito, x sub 1 plus x sub 2, x plus x sub 1 times x sub 2. Ayan, pwede rin yan. Okay? Now, mag-solve na tayo. Gamitin na natin yung natutunan natin na yan. Okay? So, ngayon, let's have example number 1. Number 1. By the way, ang gagawin natin dito, lagyan natin instruction. Okay. Write the quadratic equation given the sum and the product of the roots. Okay? Number 1. Okay, number 1 tayo. Ang given natin dito, given we have x sub 1 plus x sub 2 equals 8. And then x sub 1 times x sub 2 equals to 15. Now, naalala yung formula? Pwede nyo gamitin to. Itong formula to. Okay? So, we have x squared minus the sum x plus the product equals to 0. Ano ba yung sum dyan? Ang sum dyan ay yung 8. X squared minus 8x plus the product is, ayun, 15. Equals to 0. And then, remove natin class yung parenthesis by distributing the sign. X squared, negative times 8, that's negative 8x. Positive times positive 15, that will be positive 15, equal to 0. So, therefore, class, the quadratic equation given the sum 8 and the product 15 is x squared minus 8x plus 15 is equal to 0. Alright? Next example, number 2. Number 2. Ang given natin sa number 2 naman, class, ay x squared, x sub 1 plus x sub 2 is 14. At saka yung x sub 1 plus x sub 2 multiply pa lang to. X sub 1 times x sub 2 equals to 45. Okay? So, gamit pa rin yung formula natin. Yung x squared minus the sum x plus the product equals to 0. Let's substitute. X squared minus, ano yung sum natin? Ang sum natin ay 14. X plus the product is 45 equals to 0. Remove natin yung parenthesis. We have x squared minus 14x plus 45 equals to 0. So, class, the quadratic equation given the sum of the roots 14 and then the product of the roots 45 is x squared minus 14x plus 45 equals to 0. Alright? Next, number 3. Okay? Ang given naman natin ngayon, ang given natin ay x sub 1 plus x sub 2 equals to 1. And then x sub 1 times x sub 2 equal to 2 over 9. So ngayon, given ito, isosolve natin, class, yung, or hahanapin natin yung quadratic equation. Gamit pa rin yung formula, we have x squared minus the sum of the roots, x plus the product of the roots equal to 0. So, substitute natin, ano ba yung sum? Ang sum natin ay 1 times x. and then ang product natin ay 2 over 9 equal to 0. Tanggalin yung parenthesis, distribute yung sign. We have x squared minus x na lang plus 2 over 9 equal to 0. Kailangan walang new denominator class. So, ang gagawin natin dito, mag-multiply tayo both side of the equation by positive 9. Left and right, positive 9, multiplication tayo. Distribute natin class, 9 times x squared, that will be 9x squared. And then 9 times negative x, that will be negative 9x. And then 9 times 2 is 18. Okay, 9 times 2 is 18 divided by 9 is 2. Equal to 0 times 9 is 0. Class, the quadratic equation given the sum of the roots 1 and the product of the roots 2 over 9 is 9x squared minus 9x plus 9. 9x squared minus 9x plus 2 equal to 0. Alright? Now, what if kung ang given ngayon ay roots? Kaya naman, ang gagawin natin, we're going to write the quadratic equation. We're going to write the quadratic equation. Write the quadratic equation given the roots. Okay, ngayon naman, given yung roots, ibibigay natin yung quadratic equation. Okay? Example number 1 tayo. Number 1. Number 1, the roots are 3 and 5. Okay, so ang gagamitin formula dito class ay yung x squared minus x sub 1 plus x sub 2 variable x plus x sub 1 times x sub 2 equal to 0. Okay? Now, let's identify the values of x sub 1 and x sub 2. Let's say x sub 1 be the first root, which is 3. And then x sub 2 naman be the second root, which is 5. Now, let's substitute na. X squared, the value of x sub 1 is 3. And then plus x sub 2, which is 5. X plus x sub 1 is 3 times x sub 2, which is 5, equal to 0. Solve na natin. X squared minus 3 plus 5 is 8. X plus 3 times 5 is 15. Remove na natin yung parenthesis class and distribute the negative sign or the signs. You will have x squared minus 8 times x or 8x, negative 8x. And then positive times 15 will be positive or plus 15 equal to 0. Therefore, class, the quadratic equation given the roots 3 and 5 is x squared minus 8x plus 15 equal to 0. Alright? Next example. Number 2. This time, the roots are negative 6 and 4. The roots are negative 6 and 4. Identify natin yung values ng x sub 1 saka x sub 2. Ang x sub 1 natin, the first root is negative 6, and then x sub 2 natin, second root is 4. Now, let's substitute to the formula. We're going to use x sub 1 minus x sub 1, x squared minus the quantity of x sub 1 plus x sub 2, variable x, plus the quantity of x sub 1 times x sub 2 equals to 0. Substitute natin. X squared minus x sub 1 is negative 6 plus x sub 2 is 4, and then the variable x plus quantity of x sub 1, which is negative 6 times x sub 2, which is 4, ayan, equal to 0. Now, solve natin class yung nasa loob ng mga grouping symbols. We have x raised to 2 minus negative 6 plus 4, that will be negative 2, and then x plus negative 6 times 4, that will be negative 24, equal to 0. And then distribute natin yung sign class. We will have x squared, negative times negative 2 will be positive 2. X, ayun yung x doon sa minultiply din natin. And then positive times negative 24 is negative 24x. Negative 24 rather. Negative 24 lang. Okay? So therefore, class, the quadratic equation given the roots negative 6 and 4 is x squared plus 2x minus 24. Okay? And then, last but not the least, no, number 3. Ang number 3 natin class ay, wait lang, erase ko lang ito. Ang number 3 natin ay, the roots are negative 7 and negative 9. The roots are negative 7 and negative 9. Negative 7 and negative 9. Okay. Let's identify the values of x of 1 and then x of 2. Ang mangyayari, ang x of 1 natin dito is the negative 7. And then the value of x of 2 will be the negative 9. Now, using the formula is x raised to 2 minus the quantity of x of 1 plus x of 2 variable x plus this one is plus, okay, the quantity of x of 1 times x of 2 equal to 0. Let's substitute class the values of x of 1 and x of 2. We have x of 2 minus, we have negative 7 plus negative 9, okay, variable x plus the quantity of x of 1, which is negative 9, times negative 9. Sorry, x of 1 natin is negative 7 pala, sorry. Negative 7 pala, okay. X of 1 negative 7 times negative 9, x of 2, ayan, equal to 0. Alright, now let's solve. X of 1, negative or minus negative 7 plus negative 9, ang sagot yan ay negative 16. X plus negative 7 times negative 9, ang sagot yan class ay 64. Okay. 63 pala, sorry. So 63 o ba? Alright, yeah, 63. Positive 63 equal to 0. And then, simplify pa natin. We have x squared, negative times negative 16 will be positive 16x. Alright, plus 63 equals to 0. So, class, therefore, the quadratic equation given the roots negative 7 and negative 9 is x squared plus 16x plus 63 equal to 0. Alright, so that's it. Thank you.